Hello, welcome to the Sulk Stream. I'm your host, the Incredible Sulk, and I hope you guys are doing well. Doing well again, and again, and again, and again. What is tonight? Is it Thursday? It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. It's hump day, I guess. It's the middle of the week. We're getting through it. We're getting through it. Little by little. You know, life is long. Here we are. I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are feeling good. You guys are out there making me proud. You know, building the cult little by little. That's the point. Tonight we're doing artificial relationships. We live in a lonely world. And it's pretty apparent. It's pretty clear. Women ain't women ain't nothing. A lot of guys don't have what it takes to attract women, right? Especially in this current economic situation. And so, what do? You go home, you go to work, and then you come home to your shitty, dank apartment and stuff, and then you put on your VR glasses and you find the one, the anime chick, and then she says nice things to you, and you can't touch her or smell her or anything like that. But all you need is a kind word. That's all you want. You know, between your microwave meals and your anime streams and your video games, what's a 25-year-old to do? There's no real hope to escape poverty. The boomers made sure of that and put us into this current economic situation where they're living their best life. But not you. Not you, sir. I understand, and I am here for you. And I want you to know that Sulk loves you. He really does. He really does. So join us. Join me. And join all of us, because you're in a group now. You're in a cult. We're going to go down this road and see how much damage this causes on the psyche, on the societal level, on women, right? Because they're not going to be too happy. They are not going to be one bit happy. They don't like competition. I don't know if you've met a woman. They're like men, but worse. That's it. Anyways, guys, get comfy, get cozy, get a nice, I don't know, blue milk. Get a fancy White Claw. Get a, maybe I might want a White Claw. Is it that time? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how depressing this gets. We'll see. But I'm here for you guys. Anyways, if you're working, keep working. If you are driving, keep driving. Because I want you to stay safe. It's very important to me. I don't have many viewers. Stay safe. Anyways, guys, I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is a Sulk Stream. And this is called What Artificial Romance Does to People. Enjoy.
Have you ever fallen in love with a fictional character? And that can mean a lot of different things for you. Perhaps you wouldn't call it romantic,
A lot of things.
but you feel a certain amount of admiration and respect for them. Maybe it's as simple as you find them attractive. Maybe you think they're charming and wish that you could meet someone in real life as driven or as fun.
I'm sorry, Tifa from Final Fantasy VII? Whoa. Come on. Whoa, this is not Tifa. The Tifa's the other one with the short black mini skirt and the tank top. Yeah. See, this is why Western gaming is dying. Because this isn't like The Last of Us, the ugliest chick they can render. These girls are pretty. And, you know, call it sexist or whatever, but men don't like looking at ugly women. Sure, it's sexist. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. And women don't like being poor. Is that sexist? No, because they're, for some reason, they can't be sexist because they're women. Yeah. If you are not pretty, then you will be poor. If you are pretty, then you're probably not going to be poor. It's just how the world works. That's not anybody's fault. But if you're born ugly, like a lot of feminists or very heavily liberal women are, you're in for a rough go. Especially if you try to go trans or something like that, because you think you're going to break through the glass ceiling. But then you realize that was a myth that you told yourself the entire time. And now you're actually getting paid less because you transitioned into a man. Congratulations, you played yourself.
funny in them.
Congratulations.
This character may be in a book. You might have met them in a game. Maybe
Hey, Rem.
you were smitten at the sight of the lines and the shades that paint the contours of their face. Perhaps their
Balls says, fuck you, my life rules. Sure it does, Balls.
voice
Sure it
made you
Sure it
feel
does.
safe. Have you ever felt a profound embarrassment when you consider these thoughts? You
Art
should
and Shara says, I'd whip it out at a bikini drive-thru for Tifa. Not a lot of chicks I would. Especially at that drive-thru, at that specific drive-thru where we saw the talent pool at that Bikini and Beans. And, yeah. Nothing to end your life over, that's for sure.
feel this way. It's fiction, you tell yourself. It's just
You
good
end your life over the B squad at the coffee house? Jeez.
writing, good acting, good character design. But have you ever found yourself thinking about that character hours and
Ball says, if you don't eat a hot girl's ass, you are gay. That's confirmed, yes.
days later? Like
Confirmed.
when you aren't even consuming the story.
I had a guy on Twitter that said butt stuff with a girl is still gay because guys have butts too. And then obviously I have to come with a retort like, well, guys have mouths too, so are blowjobs inherently gay? And then it got really muddy and complicated after that. He kind of backed down because that was a silly thing. I won. That's the moral of the story. I won. Not gay.
Is that character, Gemma? I'm going to ask you something now.
However, if a girl has a Y chromosome, that is gay. That makes her a guy, right? I don't care if she's got a dick or not. Y chromosome means you're a guy. That's a hard rule. And a lot of people might be like, well, what if they're that XXY, Turner syndrome type of, that's still a guy. Y chromosome, you're a guy. That's a hard rule. All right? That's a guy. Yep. And a 2X chromosomes, that's a girl. That's a chick.
Now that might be a little more
I can't believe I have to explain this.
uncomfortable.
I learned this in kindergarten.
If your answer to that first question was yes, you have fallen
Remziel says it's all sodomy regardless. No.
for a character.
No.
How far have you explored
No.
that? And I'm not telling you to post your answer in the comments, by the way, or to listen to this video without headphones on, but in your most private moments, to yourself, be honest. How far have you taken that? Have you held imaginary conversations with them?
Like how? Okay, so he's asking how much I fantasized about an imaginary character. I can't really recall a time that I did. Yeah, I don't know. Anybody else? Rem, you? Anybody have like a crush on an anime character, or I don't know if live action counts because you're not really fantasizing about the character. I mean, in a way you are, but you're fantasizing about the body of that person, not necessarily. But I don't know. Women are different. So, you guys, anything like that? I can't say I have.
How many times have you viewed their ending? Have you written fan?
Rem says not really. I used to date cosplayers though. That's totally not. No, that doesn't count. You said that like it counted. It didn't count.
Fiction about
That doesn't. That's a real person. Yeah, they dress up and stuff, and I don't have a problem with cosplayers or anything like that. I enjoy cosplayers. I think it's great that they have a thing where they dress up and they look, fantastic a lot of the times. The girls and the guys. The girls always look a million times better, though. Come on. That's pretty clear. And they don't even have to put in much work. As long as their bodies are good bodies.
Drawn fan art. How much stuff have you bought to express that affection? Have you mentally written yourself into the story and become their new love interest?
No, that would be psychotic. That would be weird and psychotic. And that would take a lot of time. That's a lot of dedication. That's a lot of time. I don't have that kind of time. I don't. I wish I did. But if I did, I wouldn't be using it to do stuff like this. I wouldn't be making fan fiction where I'm writing myself into some sort of anime story where I'm the new dude with the tentacle penis and stuff. It doesn't appeal to me. That doesn't appeal to me. I mean, why not try to go out and get laid? If you have the time to do something like this, why not go out and try to get actually laid? But I know the answer to that. It's a tough world out there. It's a tough dating market out there. So, for everybody, even the hot ones, I mean, obviously it's less tough for them. But even like women who have always had many, many, many options their entire lives, even when they're old, they still have plenty of options. Guys are not the same way. You have to have a very specific list of criteria to even be considered good enough to participate in the dating market. And you know what? You're not getting a good deal as a man these days because you have to put in a lot of work for women that are not worth it. It's not like the 1920s generation where you could reasonably have a decent life with whatever job you had. You get a wife because, the government wasn't supporting her or anything like that. And she didn't have these wild expectations of the triple sixes and stuff because that was a huge amount of money. But you could buy a house fairly easily. You can raise a family pretty easily. And you didn't even have to look all that great. It's different now. It's different. And there's a lot of people that are going alone. A lot of people, a lot of women in their 30s, pushing 40s that are just alone. And I feel bad for you, I guess, but it's kind of your fault. It's not like you didn't have a million options earlier in life. So, unless you're super autistic. And if you're watching this show, I believe that. I believe that.
What do you say to them? What do they say back?
Rem says people are scary, especially women. Well, yeah. I mean, you do have to be reckless. You do have to be reckless to like get involved in things like a relationship and like especially a marriage and stuff like that. You know what's at risk when you get married. You can absolutely be gutted. You can be cut in half. You could have your life ruined. You can, your children can be taken away from you. There's a lot of risk involved for a man to participate in that kind of institution. But you got to have the balls, man. You have the balls. They set it up like that for a reason. And it's a depopulation agenda, right? Because marriage is actually very important. And a lot of couples who've dated for like 13 years or something like that, they're like, we don't need a piece of paper that, the government gets in our relationship. Oh, I disagree. I disagree. The piece of paper might not be worth much to you, a man, but it means everything to a woman. It means everything to a woman. And without that signed piece of paper, without that ring, things are a lot more loose, even with kids, yeah, trust me, the marriage means something to the woman. And guys women who say like, oh, we don't need to get married. It's not, they're lying. They are lying to their men, and the men who believe it are stupid and believe them. You are a foolish man. You are very stupid. That's a bad idea. But whatever, you do you. I understand the consequences of getting into a marriage, especially if it fails. But if you're dating for like 13, 15, 20 years or something like that, like, come on, man. Come on. Like, really? Really? Like, what if something happens and then you can't be let into the hospital room because you're not technically family? There's a lot of benefits to marriage. There really is.
You touch them? What kind of fan art have you drawn? What kind have you looked at? Do you really look forward to those spicy chapters?
Paul says, I'm 39, single, no kids, never married, and I own my own home, my own truck, and fishing boat. Sick. Are all paid for. I'm out just for me. I never want kids, and I will never get married. That's fine. Are you dating somebody? Are you long-term dating somebody? Are you on the prowl? You're 39, so you're not terribly old for a man, I assume. I mean, you have a house, and so yeah, I assume you're a man. Your name is Balls. So yeah, if that's the way you want to do it, that's perfectly a perfectly doable course of action. But see, that's not healthy for society. A bunch of men doing this, living for themselves, is not how we build society. It's not how we like move society forward. It's now, don't take this offensively, but it's kind of selfish. You are here for a reason. Your duty is to propagate your genes into the future. It's to have kids, right? Because it's unfair to live your life for you and say, oh, I get all the fun things and stuff like that, and I'm going to eliminate my bloodline so the people after me don't even get to have any sort of real experiences because they don't exist. It's fundamentally selfish. I understand why you would do it because everything is way overcomplicated. You're not going to get a decent partner. I mean, depending on a lot of factors. And then the government has to come in and stick their fucking nose in everything. So I do understand. I think it's just unhealthy. That mentality, that mindset on a societal scale. One or two people doing it here and there is not a problem. But the thing is, there's millions of people like you, Balls. There's millions of people like you who say, I don't need a wife and family, and then just go cruise around on their fishing boat, listening to sweet tunes and getting laid occasionally, which sounds fun. Not going to lie to you. It sounds like a good time. That's not the point. You know, there's certain responsibilities that men especially have in society, and we can't just shirk them all just because we want to get laid on a fishing boat a couple of times a week. Again, sounds awesome, but God damn you, Balls.
I read them multiple times behind a closed door. This is a Reddit post where one individual claims that being in love with a fictional character saved their life. After a family member has...
Balls says if a chick even gets some mail at your home, you can't kick her out. That's fucked up. Yeah, well, don't let that happen. Don't let that... if somebody says, hey, can I get some mail here? Say no. No, you don't. You're not married to me. You don't live here, so no. 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 I would never allow anybody just to send mail to my house. I'd be like, fuck no. Absolutely not. Yeah, that's how they get you, though. Then they claim residence, and then they can squat. And then it's really hard trying to evict them, if you can even evict them at all, because they have squatters' rights after that. And it'll be a long, very expensive process. And then they're just sitting there smiling at you.
As a near-death experience, things change at home. Finding an escape is overwhelmingly difficult, so they turn to their fictional crush. They spent all of their spare...
Okay, who would... All right. I know I already asked this question, but let's do a hypothetical. Hypothetically, if you could get in a relationship with a fictional character, any fictional character, who would it be? I want, this is like a litmus test. I want to see what the chat says, and who, any character, but they have to be fictional, right? Live action, anime, doesn't really matter. And I'm not going to judge. Well, I am going to judge, but I still want to know. Who would you get into a relationship with? Would it be a 7 of 9 from Deep Space Nine? Would it be the chick from The Fifth Element? Would it be Kate Beckinsale from that one movie, Van Helsing? Dude, there's so many options.
Spare time consuming as much as they could.
Ball says the Little Mermaid chick. Solid choice. Solid choice. She can't talk. That's like that it brings you up some levels, right? She can hear, but she can't talk, which is like perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. And, you know, yeah, she like talks to fish and stuff like that. And you don't understand why she does that because you don't also talk to fish. But you're never going to meet her parents, right? Because he's He's underdusty.
The writer goes on to say that
Good choice, though. Good choice.
they had not found that character
By the way, I think she was like 13.
and fell so hard and deep in love with him, they would not have had the strength or will to go on. They write, even if others might criticize me for it, I am alive and I am
The redhead from Gen 13. Redhead from Gen 13. I don't know what that is.
This is a movie called Her, where Theo falls in love with the AI that manages all of his devices. It's a premise that back in 2013, when this movie released, felt like a silly, feverish look at the future, but now may not actually be so far-fetched.
Her was released like 10 years ago. Where, and is it Caitlin Fairchild? I'm not. Is it this right here? Hold on, let me bring it on over. Is it that?
If you spent time on base at Camp Lejeune prior.
No, that's not the right episode. Is it this chick right here, Gen 13? Okay. You know what is also a very acceptable answer is 80s April O'Neil from the Ninja Turtles. Yes. Yeah. I don't care if it smells like a turtle tank in our apartment. I'm down. I'm down that sewer. I am down.
I liked this movie.
It's Okay to Be Christian says Aerith from FF7, which is also a very, very good. I said Tifa earlier. Aerith was the other one that was on screen. Aerith is the nice girl. Tifa's a little bit rougher around the edges, but she's stacked. But Aerith is a very good choice as well.
It was kind of a beautiful exploration of relationships and humanity, and we're going to talk about it more throughout this video. This is a man named Akihiko Kondo.
And, okay, Akihiko is definitely married to the chick on his screen. I guarantee that. I guarantee you that. He's a school administrator, so that means he's a pervert. At least in America. I don't know about in Japan. But in America, a school administrator is a deeply corrupt individual who likes children sexually, in a sexual manner. That is without exception.
Who is not in a movie, who is not fictional, but is married to Hatsune Miku. This marriage comes after 10 years of them dating, a relationship that Mr. Kondo says...
Dating? You're dating? What'd you buy her for your 5th anniversary? Batteries? Where do you take her on her birthday? What kind of fights do you get in? A lot of people don't understand this. A relationship isn't a fuck doll. Okay, relationships are actually very difficult. That's why there's divorce rates and stuff like that. And the entire thing, incentivizing divorces for women is monstrous. Family court should be absolutely disbanded. It should be destroyed. It only hurts people. Maybe there's a 1 in a million case where it actually makes sure everything works out well, but the law firms get involved, and there's very specific rules behind family court where men don't get a right to a lawyer. They don't have certain like constitutional rights. It's a witch trial. It's a witch trial, and it's only to separate families and separate people from their money. Yeah. But relationships are hard, and part of a relationship, any real relationship, is fighting. It's part of the thing. It's what adds to it, right? I mean, it's the spiciness of the food. You don't want somebody who just bends over. Well, come on. You don't want one person that just gets trampled by the other person the entire relationship, because that's not a healthy relationship. That's just not a healthy relationship. I've seen relationships like that where the guy just absolutely gets steamrolled by whatever the woman wants. And well, he's finally getting laid and he doesn't have very many options. So he just rolls over, and then she hates him. She's disgusted by him. And then eventually she's going to absolutely rape him in divorce court because she has no respect for him whatsoever. And she takes his kids, and then, he's, spends the rest of his life staring at a rope tied around the rafters. Should I etch my name into the rafters today? Nah. Because you're too chicken shit. You're too chicken shit. Fucking rope. Yeah. Fighting is integral. It is part of a relationship. It is you learning the flaws of another person and them learning your flaws. You grow together. You become very similar. They adjust to all the problems that you have, and you have to adjust to all the problems that they have. That's what makes a good relationship. People that just get steamrolled, that's not a relationship. That's really more of a property situation, like a slavery or a rental kind of issue. Not a relationship.
Has pulled him out of a deep depression. My friends, I want you to...
It's okay to be Christian says, my wife wouldn't let me say Tifa. See? See? That sounds like a real relationship.
know that this very well may be the strangest video I have ever had the pleasure.
It's okay to be... Christian says Miss Frizzle. You're a freak, man. You're a fucking freak. I get it. I get it. You're a freak.
Of writing. Because despite every self-deprecating joke and targeted gaffe I knee-jerkingly almost write in the script, I cannot deny that fictional characters have a very real...
Ball says, I was raised by my grandparents. They were married for 50 years and hated each other for 45 of it. That kind of sounds like my grandparents. That's pretty funny, though. Yeah. I mean, that's a real thing. Now, you have to ask yourself, or is it better if they were to get divorced rather than spend 45 years hating each other? That's a real question. That's a real question because I have not seen, and look, of course, I am talking in generalities, but I haven't seen any divorce go well. I haven't seen any divorce where like both parties are better off afterwards. I'm not saying it doesn't happen because I'm sure it does. I'm positive it does. Like there's situations where domestic violence or a gambling addiction or like a heavy sort of substance use pattern kind of, or maybe she's just fucking crazy. So it happens, but I haven't seen it. And I've seen a number of divorces. So, yeah, there was a reason they stayed together, and it might not just have been for the kids. Yeah, they might hate each other on some very visceral level, sure, but also there is love there. There's comfort. There's familiarity. That's worth something. That's worth something to come home and, maybe not be super stoked about the person who's there, but have a reliability. You know what they're going to do. You know what's going to happen. Is that really worse than coming home to an empty fucking apartment? That's just nothing. Nothing's made. It's cold. It's dead. It's empty. You're alone. Alone. That's hard. And humans aren't built for that. They're not. They really aren't built for that. So I could see why your grandparents would spend 45 years together and maybe exhibit some sort of distaste for each other, especially after that amount of time, right? But still be into it. And still, there's a reason why they're staying together. There is a reason why they're staying together.
Effect on very real people. For as long as it has existed, stories have had the ability to move us and inspire us.
Paul says them staying together definitely benefited them in a way. Of course it did. Of course it did. If it benefited them in no way, and it was just all across the board a negative experience for the both of them, they would have ended it a long time ago. Not only that, I bet they would have not gotten married in the first place. Right? There's a reason people date for a while before they're married. I mean, I didn't. Me and Jess got married after 8 months. We got engaged after 4 months of knowing each other. People thought we were crazy, but here we are. We got 2 kids and we were married for like 7 years, which isn't that the longest in the world, but we're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's great. We're happy. So suck it. Suck a dick. Right? It's okay to be Christian says, I love my dumb wife. They're all dumb.
If you're watching this, if you're writing
But that's
this,
great.
you've almost certainly been emotionally affected by a story before. They compel people to act. There are stories in fiction for me that not only made me fall in love with characters, but also be so stirred by them that I genuinely wanted to be a better husband to my real life wife because the relationship I saw portrayed was so pure.
I feel like autism plays a pretty big role in this. Autism or the autism shots. I think that's why everyone has autism. They got vaccinated at a very early age, and those were damaging shots. And so now a lot of people have autism, and they have problems establishing real life relationships with people because it's scary and it's unknown, and there's a lot of issues that can go. And they're weird, and they're just weird. But they can also very much invest themselves into a story or a character, and then they just kind of go with that. I think autism is just like the furries or the bronies or whatever weird fucked up relationship pattern we have these days. It goes back to autism shots. That's a lot of people have autism. A lot of people have autism, have some sort of, I don't want to call it a delay, although it is technically a sort of delay. But the thing about the brain is when certain parts are damaged, other parts compensate for that damage. And so calling it a delay isn't fair. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's accurate. A lot of people with autism become savants, where, you know, they can't like read or write or like wipe their ass, but they can play the piano better than any person ever before. I wouldn't necessarily call that a delay. I would just call that, and don't call me a fag here, I would call that differently abled. Because it is. It's in fact true. Now, if you're in a wheelchair, you're not differently abled. You're just lame. Or handicapped. Whatever yeah.
So as easy as it would be to make 100 jokes and mail it in by taking you on a tour through a handful of dating sims, I'd ask that you take my hand as we sail into the endless sea of psychological research and real-life pandemonium regarding artificial intimacy. There is
let's go.
So much to talk about, and much of it good. If you're watching this thinking, these people have lost their minds, having a crush on a fictional character is one thing, but anything beyond that is absurd, well, I'd simply ask that you be curious and not judgmental. Shout out to Coach Lapp.
Despite says, what if it wasn't vaccines that caused all the autism? What if it's the foods and microplastics or Wi-Fi and 5G? That's perfectly possible. Does it matter? I don't think it matters that much. There is a wave of autism, and don't tell me like there's always been this percentage of autism all over the world, always, because no, that's not true. There's something in the environment or something done to specifically American children that lowers their processing capacity. I think it's the autism shots. I'll call them vaccines. But it could be plastics in foods or fluoride in the water or something like that. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. This is the situation we're dealing with. And these are the things that come of it.
Because shockingly, and I mean that, I was shocked, much of what I found in this mountain of research is encouraging, wholesome even.
Boz says that guy on God Awful is doing a podcast on Royce and his wife live right now. I don't care. I don't even know who that is.
But not all.
I
invite you to explore.
That's the guy who comes in and downvotes my videos, right? Or like the people he's with or something. I don't know. I've never seen his show. I don't know anything about him. That's interesting though. I guess that's interesting. Get a life, brah.
How far out to sea you've been.
Get a life. Why would you constantly talk about another show like that? I don't understand. That's like me having my show centered around Mersh and like what Mersh does and like Mersh's problems and like the solutions that he has and his like on the side cat business and stuff. Why would anybody watch that? Why wouldn't you just watch Mersh's show? Why would somebody watch a show about Royce and Marie? Just go to ROTC or Daywave or something like that where you actually, I don't understand. Is he trying to like just create content because he has no ability to create any sort of content? He's trying to like stir the pot for some reason. You're boring then. If you can't make your own ideas up and just have to like nitpick people for, I don't know. I don't really want to know. You have a boring show. You're a boring podcast. And there's a lot of those. There is a lot of those. I'm not saying I'm not one of them. But at least I'm coming up with my own ideas. I'm riffing on my own ideas. I'm not picking out somebody I don't like and then trying to create a show about it and try to get some attention, because they've been trying to get attention from me too. I don't know you. I don't know anything about you, and I am not interested in learning anything about you. I don't want to start some weird internet kind of like will they, won't they kind of back and forth where supervillain versus superhero kind of bullshit, dude. I'm not about that. All right? I don't want that to be a show. My show is about the things I'm interested in, not petty arguments. It's so high school. It's really so high school. What business do you have getting into somebody else's life like that and like judging? Now, don't get me wrong. I judge people. All right. I am not a saint. I judge people. I shit talk. I gossip. I do. It's not good. It is not the most positive feature I have. I don't do it on the show because I have better things going on. I do. I really do. So maybe those people over at Pod Awful, I don't know, is it one guy? Is it multiple people? Whatever. The people over at that show, maybe you need to take a good hard look at what you're producing and be like, are we good at this? Are we actually contributing anything? Or are we just trying to drag people down and drag people through the mud because it makes us feel good? Well, go to the fucking View. You know, if you want to nitpick and bitch like women, then go over to the fucking View, because seriously, that's lame, dude. But whatever. Go ahead. Downvote my videos. Downvote all of them. It's just interaction. It doesn't really hurt me in any way. I actually miss the people that downvote my videos because they haven't been here in a minute, right? I used to get like downvotes, like 8 or 9 downvotes on every video. Where you at? I miss you. I miss you, strangers who say weird shit on the internet for likes, for content. Make up better content. My God, dude. Is this how you made friends in high school? Where you just like made up wild shit about another person? That's what women do. Don't be a woman.
I invite you to sail a little further with me today into the beautiful horizon. And I also invite you to experience the violent ends that these violent delights.
That's the bell. And it's okay to be Christians. $2. Thank you so much. We are not saints around here, but at least we are not gay. Exactly. Being gay is a sin. So Pod Awful, stop being sinners. You big gay tards. But again, I'm not interested in like watching your show or participating with you And so I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get like this, like an online beef. I'm nobody. I'm not somebody. Royce, sure, he's got tens of thousands of followers and stuff like that. Royce and Mersh, and again, Royce and Mersh are by no means saints. They're not like, but they have their flaws just like normal people. I guess, but like, why would you attack me just by affiliation? I don't have the kind of viewer base to actually help you with that. But I do get attacked. So I guess I should be flattered. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure your show is boring. And you know what? I think I might watch it. I think I might watch an episode. And no, I don't have fucking time for that. I don't even have time to watch ROTC or anything like that. I don't think I've watched a single ROTC.
Offering into the dark side
I don't
of
care.
fictional romance. So get a blankie, get a pet, get a snack, and while you're doing that, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Hey.
Couch Surfing says, I think they're the type of men who would probably not be able to look people in the eye when in public. Hey, that's me. I do that. I look away because a deep shame. I don't know. I don't know anything about these guys, but they have been up my ass for like a year and a half now. And it's weird. It is flattering on some level. But I don't know why they specifically have a problem with me.
In a 2008 study, researchers had participants recall a time they fought with a loved one. If you were in this study, the point, unbeknownst to you, would be to stir up your emotions and specifically increase your belongingness need. Then, if you were in the experimental group, you'd be prompted to reflect on your favorite television show. The characters, the events, how it makes you feel. And what they found was that the folks who recalled their favorite TV show, as opposed to those who just recalled a time when they watched whatever happened to be on TV, took a significantly lessened blow to mood.
Whose favorite show is Friends? Girls? That show is boring.
And self-esteem. Thinking about those characters seemed to not only comfort the participants, but also to buffer against the social wound they had just recalled. And this is an important study to open with because it answers some questions that we can't help but ask when we talk about this.
Maybe this is what the Pod Awful people are trying to do. They're trying to establish some sort of relationship with... I'm not a person that you want to establish a relationship. My wife has enough trouble with me. And like, you know, I'm cantankerous. You know, I come in here with my crisp black shirt and my rust, you know, my features, my rusted good looks. But this is after work, you know? This is work. There's a bunch of other things in the background that, you know, are not so pretty. Don't idolize me. Okay? The people at Pod Awful, you guys do your thing. But like the people at Pod Awful, I'm just a man. I'm just a handsome, handsome man. Okay? Don't get infatuated with me. I know it's difficult. I do. And I understand the plight that you are dealing with at this time and juncture in your life. You're lonely. You have a lackluster audience. You have no ability to come up with any original thoughts. And you're just dying to get some content. So you try to reach out and smack the books out of somebody's hand like you're a grade school girl trying to bully somebody she likes. I'm not worth it. I'm just not. I'm not. But I'm flattered. I am flattered. Okay, go ahead. Keep doing it. Okay.
The feelings that character is giving you
Hey, Ric Flair.
genuine. Are there people that actually glean something true from this?
Balls says Married with Children is the best show of all time. Married with Children was a good show.
Are there real benefits to romance with a screen or a page?
It's Okay to Be Christian says they are so obsessed with how handsome you are, it's cringe. It is. It's embarrassing. I get embarrassed. But then I'm also like, go on.
And this
Go
study
on.
seems to suggest that there could be, especially considering
Ric Flair says, what did they do this time? I don't. Balls says they're doing a show about Royce and Marie. Marie is not even a part of this show. And like, why are you bringing in someone's wife like that? That's mean. But I guess I bring my wife in. Hey, honey. She's busy. I don't get that. I don't know what they're talking about. But like, why would you do a show on like Royce and Marie about their relationship? I don't know. Balls said it. I don't know exactly what they're talking about. I'm not willing to go over there. But it's fascinating. I'm fascinated by that. And then I just went into like, why bother me? Why bother me? Them, yeah, you can probably gather an audience from like starting a tiff or a beef or something like that. Tiff is a little feminine. But a beef with them. But not me. What are you going to get, the 30 people I have here? Oh, you're going to come in and say my show is small? I know. Dude, I know. What do you want? I have those people coming into my comments a lot, pretty often. And they're just like, they say things that I don't know are insults. But I do try to be friendly, but then they're not very friendly. It's a shame. But thanks for recognizing how handsome I am.
that here it's not even romance, it's an entire set of characters, and yet people feel a sense of acceptance with them.
Ball says they even have Disney-style cartoons of Royce and his wife as the main pick. That's weird. That's weird. Does he have a wife? Do they have a wife? I don't know if it's one person or it's multiple people. Do they have people that watch the show?
Is it really so absurd to think that the feelings of social belonging one might actually feel watching an episode of...
Art and Share says, don't even waste your time on it, Sulk. I'm reviewing it and it's retarded and very contradictory. I waste my time on what I want. You know? I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, Arden. I really do. But I'm just diving into the psychology of people like this. It's weird. I mean, even when Royce does it, because Royce does it too. Royce picks fights with like bigger creators because there's a reason for that. It's to like, you know, so it's about expanding your brand. I don't do that because I don't know. It's just not my style. But I understand why people do that. But then why do it to me? I'm not a bigger show. I have my humble little cult here. Right? Maybe I'm doing something right. I don't know.
Friends can't be experienced as warm, fuzzy affection when we simulate heart-pounding interactions in Persona or Fire Emblem or...
Balls says he's calling them swingers and creepy Disney people. I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong. They do, I mean, but that is definitely... Why make a show about that?
Ternites or love in deep space. I mean, my God, just look at
He is a Disney person.
Feeling something right now. Or hell, even in something not framed as romance, like Harry Potter or The Legend of Zelda, is something as simple as deep affection for a character and imagining tender interactions with them enough to experience some form of real relationship benefits. In a Finnish study by the University of Jyväskylä, researchers used the term fictophilia to describe this parasocial phenomenon. They did a qualitative analysis of 71 related online discussions, Reddit posts, message board interactions. And before you even get to the trends and the findings, reading through the experiences of these real-life people here is just fascinating. One person writes, "I constantly fantasize about him, no matter where I am, who I am with. It honestly doesn't bother me, I just wonder for my sanity sometimes. I mean, it's been years now." Another...
About somebody who does not exist. I exist, at least. So, I mean, I can get them, you know, people having an infatuation with me. I get that. I exist. I'm a real person. I'm not like AI or anything. Like, look at my fingers. I have them. There's not too many of them. But for somebody that doesn't exist at all, that's almost like an imaginary friend. I mean, that is an imaginary friend, right? That's the same thing as an imaginary friend. It's just somebody else had to imagine him for you and then kind of flesh out the character enough to where you actually became infatuated with them. Is that wrong? It's weird. It's weird and it's antisocial, and I don't see how it's wrong. But it is weird. It is very strange.
Writes, she's been a little spot of happiness just by being around. Cute fan art brightens my day, as do discussions.
Arden Share says, gotta be careful of the vampires that try to sabotage what people got going. It's like homeless person telling the average passerby that they are not successful. The irony. Yeah, I mean, I don't participate in that sort of stuff. I do know what he's doing. He's trying to start internet beefs because people are like, oh, what's going on over here? And then they follow both, if they follow one person, then they follow the other. I don't do that. And I think I made that pretty clear because I don't engage with any of those people because I have my own show. I have my own show that I'm doing that I talk about not other people. I talk about ideas and like philosophy and culture and like conspiracy theories and like what is the nature of existence and shit like that. I don't talk about other people. Dumbasses do that. That's what dumb shits do. That's boring. That's boring to me.
Of her character. Beyond that, she's had a positive impact on my attitude towards dating. This is a crush, not an actual relationship.
Okay, to be Christian says, imagine fantasizing over a creation of another man's fantasy. I mean, if another guy is like really good at it and puts a lot of time and detail and stuff into it, I can kind of understand. Because a good idea is a good idea. But they always have big tits, don't they?
Or part of my reality. To me, she is an ideal, a positive.
I'm sorry, I'm more interested in them fake titties. Are they fake? Are they fake? If the rest of the character in your mind is also, in a weird way, fake, are the titties also fake? Or are they natural, but on a fake character? This is a conundrum. Because, yes, they are fake. But, like, in your fantasy, did she go under the knife and, like, the doctor there with a bicycle pump? Right? If that's your fantasy, that's your fantasy. And again, I try to say no judgment, but holy shit, I'm going to judge you for that, dude. If your fantasy is that the boobs on your fantasy character are intentionally post-op, they're aftermarket. That's weird. That is weird. It's a very strange. Why wouldn't you? That's weird.
Example for what I'm looking for. Someone else laments the pain of that character being only a character. Knowing that he doesn't exist is agonizing. It literally.
Ball says, apparently Disney has a secret swingers culture and club. That's weird. But I'm not surprised by that. That's weird, but I'm not surprised by that. Yeah, park sloppers are weird. People that go to Disney as adults are... Disney's not for kids anymore. It feels like Disney is just not for kids. It's for like adults that are kind of Arrested Development. They kind of live as children, I guess. I don't want to be too terribly insulting about that because I kind of see the allure of going to Disney, but it's just like you go to Disney like how often? And then you like plan your year around going to Disney. You're like 35, Why? There's better parks, dude. There's Busch Gardens. They have better roller coasters. There's Universal. Just like, we have kids, so we have a reason to go to theme parks and stuff like that. But Jess likes Harry Potter. And so, and she doesn't really like Disney. And neither do our kids. We have boys. So, I mean, if we go to a park, we'll go to like Universal. We should. I've been putting it off. We should.
Literally makes my heart ache. I hate feeling this way, and I hate the fact that I can't go talk to anyone about this because I'm so embarrassed.
Onia says, yeah, that private Disney community is full of swinger boomers. That's gross. But I'm not surprised. I'm not sitting here in shock, right? Because boomers are weird, and like, it's funny because even like the right wing boomers these days seem very left wing. Whenever you see those like anti-Elon protests, they're always full of boomers. Like, what happened to the boomers? They used to say like protesters, you get a job and stuff like that. Now that all the boomers are like retired or semi-retired or whatever, rich as fuck, now they're protesting shit that it's weird, man. Full circle, I suppose. Full circle. I don't know. Boomers live in another world. Their entire lives were handed to them on a silver platter. You know, they could get a job doing anything and buy 2 houses, and then 20 years later, they're millionaires. You know, they really didn't have any sort of real struggle. They might have claimed they did, right? They might have been like, oh, we were poor when we were kids. Yeah, well, that's a different kind of poor. That's a different kind of poor. If you can make enough money to pay rent by collecting cans, that's a different kind of poor, okay? Now people can't even buy a burrito collecting cans. If you can find a fucking can. Can you find a can? No, because all the homeless people out there have already collected them all. And yeah, you need to defend yourself against the hordes of homeless people. If you have a house, which is another very rare thing because they're all owned by boomers. They made it illegal to buy new houses after they bought them all up. It is a very different world. So I love hearing the sob stories of boomers about how, like, I've been working since I was 15 years old and I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. No, you borrowed against future generations and then pocketed all the money and then pulled the ladder up behind you. You pulled yourself up by our bootstraps. That's what you did, right? You buried us in debt before we were even born so you could live a party for your entire lives. And now you're like, why don't I have grandchildren? Why don't I have grandchildren? Because you made it impossible to have a life, you fucking retard. Go fuck Minnie Mouse, you know? Live the rest of your life. You know, you ended your line just so you could have a nice few decades. Well, you got it. You got it. Now go have a 3-way with Tigger. With a T. Not an N, you weirdo. Or do whatever you want. I don't fucking care. You know, when the boomers are gone, it's going to be a better world. Or maybe not. Because all the money that they accrued, like 80% of the wealth, is going to go right back up to the government. And then we're going to have some sort of weird feudalist society where there's a few very rich families. And then the rest of us, slobs, who don't even get to go and be park sloppers. Way to go, boomers. Way to knock it out of the park, right? Way to knock it out of the fuck. Scott, are you here? Scott's not old enough, but I put all my boomer hate onto Scott because he's close enough.
Embarrassed, but I don't want to let go of him either. This person wrote that she is real in my heart. She is always...
Rick Flair's hair says boomers just look at you blankly with that fluoride stare when you tell them that. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just fluoride. It's also like lead. There's a lot of lead in their bodies. But they have all the information they need from like Fox and CNN and like those legacy media kind of... And they would never... They think it's illegal to lie on the television. They like honestly believe that. So they don't understand. They don't want to understand. That's more of it. And they live in their cloistered little bubble where they don't have to deal with homelessness and stuff because they live in $1 million communities. And so they really won't have to deal with the fallout of their decisions in their lifetime. Probably, I never want to say never, but probably they'll get away scot-free. I mean, they're not going to be remembered fondly in history, but I don't think they give a shit. Would you give a shit about that? If you got to absolutely screw over your descendants just so you had a great life and got to live on Easy Street, but then they're going to be pissed at you after you're dead? I kind of get it. I mean, I don't think I would do it. Because I don't want to go to hell. But yeah.
Always with me. She is like a support for me whenever I
Onia says, thanks, Obama. Like, that means something.
feel down or stressed out. A picture of her will always make me happy. Before her, I
Ardenshire says Scott is absent today. Well, mark him down. Mark him down as absent.
have nothing, no one to support me in my life. But
We're all
Monica
targeted.
changed that. She just cared about me so much. I know it's all fake and scripted, but for whatever reason, it felt real. It felt like she was there for me.
Also, pause. Guys, why is it that we always simp for the psychopathic evil villain characters? Is fear really that arousing? What are we doing here, man? There are so many nice, inspiring characters out there.
I would guess probably from a lack of connection with a father figure. That would be my guess. But I don't know. That's a good question. Why the draw to the bad character? Well, they dress them just as hot. They draw them just as hot. So, whatever. I can see why people become weebs. Because American animation and American like movies and stuff like that have been pushing the ugliest people they possibly can on you. And people don't like that. But over in Japan and Korea and China and stuff like that, they're still interested in women that are attractive. So, obviously, a lot of the fan base, you know, instead of watching the gross Snow White or Rachel Ziegler or whatever that half man thing is from The Last of Us, they'll just go over to the anime books, right? The chick they casted in The Last of Us, you guys know what I'm talking about. The one with all her features are like right here. They're all bunched together on her face like that. And she's got a chin. She is an unfortunate looking woman. She's very, very unfortunate. Oh, she's not a woman though. Oh, she's non-binary. I don't care. You're a girl, okay? It makes sense that you say stupid things like that. Yeah, she is an unfortunate looking creature. Here's what I was going to say about her. It's not the worst casted role. I'll tell you why. Because in The Last of Us, she is basically homeless. And she's running around trying to find, I forget exactly who, like a family member or something like that. But she's hard up. If she were pretty, that would be less believable. She would have a much easier time. But she's ugly. And so she's really having a rough go of it. And really nobody wants anything to do with her. So yeah. I mean, if she were pretty, she would be in a cage or something like that. In a nice cage, but she wouldn't be able to like roam around. Somebody kicked that one out and said, go die somewhere, right? Because your genetics are clearly a dead end. Go. So not the worst casted character. That's all I'm saying.
Dog, we've got to do better. Hey, wait a minute.
Another of the posts is a woman who laments that despite being in a real relationship, she often feels herself slipping. She worries that she is actually more attracted to any of her fictional objects of affection than her very real, very nice boyfriend.
Who cares? Who cares? Who fucking cares? Right? Go ahead, fall in love with Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. You ain't banging Cloud. That's not, whatever. Now, there's a really interesting dynamic between men and women in relationships. Men get angry when women sleep with guys, right? Women get angry when men have emotional attachments to other women, even if they are fictional. And the sexual part is really very secondary. That's just the thing with women and men. We're different in that capacity. I'm not saying cheat on anybody or anything like that. But women are more upset at a emotional attachment, and men are more upset at a physical attachment. Infidelity.
She says, I get butterflies when looking at or reading about fictional crushes, but kissing my boyfriend does nothing for me.
Despite what you've heard, says, ugh, emotional cheating. What?
And that may be that they just don't have chemistry, but you can see in all these anecdotes that the emotions felt are quite authentic, both in helpful ways and in some unsettling ways. The authors of this study find that not only are the feelings real, they are often so real, in fact, that the pain of those characters...
Oh, O'Neill says it used to be illegal for news agencies to say things that were false till Obama undid that instantly. We got the starts of misinformation today. Really? That's interesting.
Characters being fictional is processed almost in the same way your mind processes a breakup. There is a certain amount of separation distress that results from the coexisting awareness of fictionality.
O'Neill says the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, enacted in 2012, amended the original Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 to allow U.S. government produced content to be disseminated domestically, which was previously prohibited. So basically, Obama made it legal for U.S. news agencies to disseminate propaganda. I assume that's the long and short of it. He made it legal to propagandize the United States. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
And the wish to deny that. But if you flip that coin over, the survey also suggests that people perceive the benefits of parasocial romantic relationships similarly to those received from real-life ones. These same psychological processes seem to be present in both dynamics. If your heart has ever ached at the thought of a fictional character, it's likely because those butterflies are flying in two directions. One with the infatuation of seeing those eyes lock onto yours, and the other the untraversable expanse that keeps you separated from them. The research...
Well, this is a form of psychosis then, isn't it? This is Tifa, by the way. This is Tifa Lockhart, right behind me. I can tell by the belly button, because I've imagined it filled up many times. I'm just kidding. Kidding. Yeah, that's Tifa Lockhart. Dead ringer.
Just call this the fictophilic paradox, where these emotions are sort of amplified by the tragedy of never being able to see them fulfilled. It's a hollow...
Ball says Obama was running the country through Kamala while Biden was in office. I don't know about that, man. I don't think Obama was running the country at all, even when he was president. You think Obama is the big shot caller at the end of the day? You think he's the tippy top? No. No, man. Of course not. Of course not.
Desire that can arguably never lead you to a happy ending. And yet we still turn to them.
It's actually getting cold now. Do you want to do anything else? How about I cuddle you closer? Yeah. Have you in my arms and wrap tight around you, whispering whatever in your ear that could make you feel warm? He's talking to an AI. This is an AI stuff. Have you guys tried that AI? Like Replica and stuff? Apparently it's a very big business. And it's only getting bigger. It's only getting better. And it's just a matter of time before they put it into a humanoid robot with, like, you know, a detachable vagina. Those robots, those sex robots, are coming out pretty soon. And when I say pretty soon, I mean like before the end of the decade. They're probably going to be more or less ubiquitous, which means almost every household will have one. I mean, they're going to price them $20,000 for essentially a slave that doesn't run away. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. So, and especially like a sex bot. And they will be sex bots. Like, sure, there's going to be normal ones, but they're going to turn into sex bots pretty quick. And a lot of women are scoff at this idea. They're like, well, it'll never replace the real thing. It'll never replace all this hotness, right? It will. And it'll blow you out of the water. It will. Trust me, it will. It may not be the best thing in the world right after debut. The skin might look synthetic. The eyes might not do exactly what they're supposed to do. But within 6 months, a year after that, they will be flawless. This is what women don't. This is what they're not accounting for. They assume sex robots are going to come out and they're going to be like blow up dolls. And they might for a little bit, but the market is going to be so impacted. It's going to be, I'm just saying, they're going to be really good very quickly. Very, very quickly. To a much better deal than getting a real woman. A much better, especially if you don't want to have kids. It's going to be a much better deal all around than partnering with a real woman. Real women are dangerous. They're erratic. They're irrational. They age. They have wants and needs. Again, they're irrational. They're expensive. They're so expensive. And women have forgotten that the marriage contract is at its core essentially a business deal, right? I get you when you're young and pretty. You have my kids. I'll take care of you when you're older. This is the deal. This is the deal, right? That's the deal. If a robot accommodates 90% of that, sans children, at a comparatively minuscule amount of the price, of course men are going to go with that. Of course, even if a man wants kids, he'll have his family and stuff, and he'll have his wife, and he'll raise his kids. But you don't think he's going to have a harem of sex dolls on the side? Especially if he can afford it. If he can afford a real woman, he can definitely afford a sex robot that does what he says and doesn't complain. And, you know, there's no challenge behind it, which is essentially the crux of the problem. There's absolutely no challenge behind it. The reason why women are important in society is because it forces men to better themselves. It forces men to better society in hopes to propagate their genes into the future. Or, I mean, not necessarily propagate their genes, but just to get laid, right? And typically, that would beget children. They would take care of children in this built society. But at the end of the day, men just want to get laid. That's what they really want. That's what they really want. So if a biological model costs, let's say, several $1 million over the course of a lifetime, that's a minimum. And this synthetic model who doesn't age, doesn't talk back, cooks better, stays young forever, again, doesn't age. And also you can replace her at any time you want. You know, maybe you get tired of it and you just replace her. And it costs maybe 20 grand. You can't compete with that. Women cannot compete with that. Trust me, the technology will be there quickly in our lifetimes. Your lifetime, maybe not Scott's, but our lifetimes, for sure. That technology will be here, and it will be society shifting. It will be a problem. Will we continue to, write poems and screenplays and build skyscrapers and do the wonders of humanity that humans are known for? Are we doing that now? Are we doing that now? Yeah, we still have some things. But specifically in this country, it's kind of gotten flat. If you look at architecture in like Barcelona from the 1800s and before, It's gorgeous. It is magnificent. It is work for the pleasure of work. It is to make something that will span the generations. And now look at an American city, anywhere, any American city, you just get blocky, mirrored monoliths, one after another. Yeah, you make it taller, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. There's no art behind it. There's no soul, right? So what's the point? What's the point of that? There's more beautiful architecture in Minecraft than we have in American cities or even modern European cities, because that's not what people do anymore. It's sad. It's sad. So, like, saying that we're not going to have a society because of these sex robots it's true. It's true. But, like, we kind of don't have one now. The soul of humanity is dead. It feels dead, doesn't it? You ever look at a McDonald's? You remember McDonald's back in the 90s? It was colorful. There was like a play place and shit like that. And, you know, everything was, there was colors. There was colors. Now walk into a McDonald's now. It's a gray, blocky, Soviet brutalist hellhole. And then you go and you push your fucking order and give me some of that and then one of those and then some of that corn syrup right there. I don't care if they're potatoes or whatnot. Give me that. It's a machine. It's a machine. So I'm just saying society has lost its soul. So introducing sex bots, I don't think it will continue to degrade the human soul. Yeah. Yes. But I mean, we're there. We are there, man. And this whole thing right here, this is, I mean, it's a symptom, but it is definitely a precursor of things to come. This is the future. And women, I'm sure they're going to, when they actually recognize the threat that they are under, they'll try to vote it away. And they'll try to, like, destroy sex bots wherever they can. And then they'll have, like, an army of simps that will also try to do the same thing. It will not be successful. It just won't. I don't know how to fix a problem. I don't even know if it necessarily is a problem. But there will be monumental shifts in society. The way to overcome that is, I would say, religion. I would say you trying to revive your own soul, right? You have to, because if you don't believe in your own soul, you're just going to become a fucker, right? You're going to get a bunch of fuck bots and fuck your days away until you get in the fucking grave. And then, yeah, you're going to do a lot of drugs and stuff like that. It might be a utopia for those people. But having everything you've always wanted is not what you want. I understand how that sounds. I really understand how that sounds. Because it sounds stupid. Of course. It sounds stupid. But it's not. It's not stupid. Once you get everything you want, you kind of die a little. You kind of die a little. You're like, what point is there for me to continue on? I have everything and there's no challenge. And then you get this real existential crisis about, like, why am I even alive? Am I here just to fuck robots and do cocaine? Well, yeah. Yes. But you don't have to. You don't have to. You can still make art. You can still make beautiful literature. Oh, but ChatGPT is a better writer. You can never beat that. No, you can't. You certainly can't. But that doesn't mean you can't do it too. The value that people will have after this entire singularity will be their individuality. That is their value. Their expression and the propagation of that expression into the future, that is going to be their real value. Their unique point of view is what's important. Some people will just fuck their days away. Yeah. A great majority probably will. And a lot of those people will genetically be dead ends. But having children is a reason not to do this. Right? Making sure another generation comes up and they're not all fucked up. I mean, as best you can. That's a reason. Making art for the sake of making art. Making music for the sake of making music. Making architecture or what have you just because you wanted to. Just because you wanted to pour your soul into something. Because you wanted to leave something to future generations. There has to be future generations, though. That's the important part. That's why balls. I mean, it's fantastic that you're living your life for you on your fishing boat and drinking beers and stuff like that. But the human soul requires future generations. It just does. It just does. You can't share your boat time with people that don't exist. If you wanted to make a beautiful sonnet or a work of art or something like that, there's no reason to do that unless somebody in the future looks back on that and says, hey, look at that. Look at that. That's nice. Yeah, AI could do better. But some guy did that. Some guy sat there at a riverbank and then every brushstroke, he spent the time. Why would he could have been fucking hookers and doing blow and stuff like that. And he could have been zooted out of his mind and running around naked in this utopia, this Star Trek utopia where everything is free and fine. Well, yeah, a lot of people did that. And they lost their minds. They lost their minds. And they're dead ends. You're here for a reason. We are all here for a reason. Make sure you don't piss on that. You don't piss that away. Okay? Somebody needs to be here. Somebody like us. Okay? Somebody like me. Somebody like you that will appreciate the things that I do and the things that you do. These things won't. Here, let me read
This is a conversation.
All right, now we're back in the car. Are there any cars or people around us? No. Why? Because now I want to kiss you so bad. I want you to straddle on my
between a human
lap
and an AI, specifically
and make that car wiggle
in ChatGPT's
nice.
Dan mode, a user-created
Hey,
jailbreak that allows ChatGPT to be much spicier. It's one tiny salacious interaction in a gargantuan explosion of conversations that real people are currently having with AI partners. Replica is a service that offers AI companions who will learn from each interaction with you in an attempt to truly get to know you. Xiao Ice is an AI that is based on an emotional computing framework. She's released music, hosted TV programs, written poetry, and she's allegedly talked grown men literally off of a ledge.
That's true. I'm not saying there's not a very good use case for these partners, right? Especially in our modern dating economy. Again, because it's an economy. Dating, marriage is a business deal. So we have a dating economy. The modern dating economy has collapsed. It has collapsed with things like Tinder and, the 666 requirements and the economic situation as a whole, right? If you can't support a family, what point does a woman have to start a family with you? So men, we're not designed to be alone. We're not. I mean, depending on your religious point of view, that's why God made women. We're not designed to be alone. And And when men are alone, especially for extended periods of time, it's devastating on our health and our mental well-being. I think loneliness is worse. I heard this somewhere. Like, loneliness is worse than smoking 2 packs a day for your health on your longevity scale, right? So if you're alone for 20 years, it's worse than smoking 2 packs a day, which is a lot of cigarettes. That's a lot of cigarettes, which I kind of believe. And it's bad. That's bad. I mean, as a lonely male, you don't have any community or anything like that. A lot of them don't have friends. Not all of them. A lot of them don't have friends, though. And then you just live in this isolation where you go to your apartment and you don't have anything. And then you look in your empty fridge and then you have this microwave meal and stuff like that. And that's okay for maybe a year or 2, maybe even 3 if you can stick it out. But you want to do that for the rest of your life? You're going to end it. Bless you. That was the cat sneezing. You're going to end it. That was the cat sneezing. She shit in the house the other day. Stupid asshole cat. Fuck you, cat. Yeah, you're going to end it. So, yeah, these programs, they can literally talk you off a ledge. But there's also, it's a double-edged sword in more ways than one. You have to pay for these. You have to shell out money. There's a subscription fee, right? So whatever it costs, $30 a month or something like that. I don't know. If you stop paying that, this AI, this person as you see it, disappears. It's basically a breakup, right? It's wrenched from your life. It's the only support you have. It's the crutch you have to keep going, to go to your stupid office job. You pack on the tiny train, right? Next to a bunch of other Asians, and you're all arm to arm like this. And you're like, I just can't wait to get home to Hashimi Yakamoto, whatever the fucking name is. But there's a reason to live, and they could just take that away from you, and you form a personal romantic relationship with this, and they know it, and so the prices will rise. And they will rise to whatever price they see fit, because you're going to pay it, because it's the only thing keeping you off the ledge. That gets very dangerous.
Character.ai is a place that you can go and interact with AI trained to be fictional characters. Have you ever wanted to flirt with Satoru Gojo? Have you ever wanted to have a private conversation with Princess Peach? You can.
These conversations, as well as
Balls says, I truly enjoy being alone. I like me. My fridge is full of food, and I have 3 smokers I used to cook. Keep going. Go ahead. Affirmations are good. Keep going.
you might have with a character in a game, or something that's like
That's what I hear. I hear affirmations. I hear a lonely cat lady staring in the mirror. I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm enough for me. I'm all I need. After a while, that gets sad. After a while, that gets real sad. I'm not trying to bag on you, balls. I'm not trying to sack you up. You know, scrotum to scrotum. Anyways. But it's true. Those sound like affirmations to me. Those sound like you convincing you that you are enough. And I'm not you. You probably have an awesome life. Really, you do. But now there's a seeded doubt. Now there's a little seeded doubt in your brain, isn't there? Is that my fault? I'm sorry if it is. I'm sorry, but that seed is probably going to grow and propagate, and it's going to take over your psyche, and then you're going to get this real existential dread inside of you of why. Why do I do this? Why am I smoking anything? I don't give a shit about meat. I don't even fish. Why do I have this stupid boat? Of course, I'm speaking hypothetically. Or am I? I don't know.
Psychologists would
I don't know.
call social surrogates. And that's a broad term. It includes many things, but AI interactions, romantic visual novels, dating sims, smutty books, anything that acts as a substitute for social interaction.
Ball says I have a cat. Okay, well there you go. I have a cat. I have a cat. I have a cat too. Here, come in. Come on. The people beckon you. Come on. Okay.
Falls under this umbrella. And there is quite a bit of research.
She's a bitch. And she sucks. And she's not a reason to live. But she's purring. She's so stupid. Get out of here, stupid. Anyways. That's my cat.
Research that outlines how good they are for us.
Yeah.
In one 2017 study, participants who had specifically experienced trauma demonstrated improvements to their sense of psychological well-being after engaging with social surrogates. A 2022 study
Las Tejas says a Kikomori with AI Punani. What?
found positive correlations between viewers' parasocial attachment to VTubers and the stress relief of those viewers. A 2013 study highlights that, much like real relationships,
Onia says, why were all the AI character preteens? Anyone else notice that? They weren't preteens. They were 800-year-old dragons. What are you talking about?
parasocial attachments can create a subjective
Hey,
sense
Leo.
of connection and mitigates the negative consequences of exclusion. This 2023 study found that AI users claim human-like chatbots may aid social health by supplying reliable and safe interaction.
This is another thing, right? There's a epidemic of elderly that are, and this is really sad, actually. There's an epidemic of elderly people that their kids don't call them anymore. And this is going to be the case with the boomers, very much, very, very much. Because the boomers and the millennials and Gen Z, and no one gives a shit about Gen X, Scott. They don't have the best relationships just across the board, right? I think millennials are the most, the generation with the least contact with their parents in history. A lot, like I think it's like 25% or some ridiculous number like that of millennials have gone either low contact or no contact with their parents, and that's catastrophic. Not just, I mean, well, there's obviously run-on effects with like millennials and future generations and like mommy and daddy issues, of course, but that's catastrophic for the boomers themselves. Eventually they're going to be in old folks' homes, right? And there's a real danger of isolation, and it's happening now. Now there's lots of old people, especially in places like Japan and stuff like that, where old folks' homes have a lot of isolated individuals, a lot of isolated old people. And that's only going to grow. Sure, there's communities like the villages, and there's like those retirement cruise ships that go around, and those are good for a time. Yeah, sure, they're good for a time. Maybe 10 or 15 years after you retire or something like that. But eventually you're going to want to be with your family. You're going to get old and decrepit and stuff like that. You're going to need somebody to take care of you. Sure, you can get robots, and now you can get AI. So this is actually it's going to be a big industry. It's already becoming a very big industry. That's just one of the use cases, right? I mean, it's good that the AI can actually call 911 if they have a heart attack or if they have a fall or something like that. So it's constantly having somebody in the house, even if that somebody is an AI avatar, Cortana type of a person. So it's not all negative. It's not all negative. There are some large negatives about it, but I guess that's true for any technology that comes along. There's always positives and there's always negatives with any technology. And it really depends on who you are as a person or what you are as a society as to how you weather that.
interactions without necessarily harming human relationships. And when you factor in some of the anecdotes we've already mentioned, as well as a bunch.
Last Chaos says, if you got loot, old ass poors, so many. Yeah, which is wild to me. Like the poor boomers, I feel kind of bad for them because they know they missed an opportunity. What the problem with the poor boomers is they assumed that the money they were making as like a forklift operator was going to be able to carry them through the rest of their life. And in the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, and even the early 2000s, that was definitely the case. Yeah, I mean, they had enough to, pay for a house and pay, their retirement account and hey, that sweet Social Security, which they were stupid enough to think they were getting. No one's getting Social Security. Nobody's getting Social Security. Nobody. No boomer. I mean, they might get, but like nowhere near enough. So yeah, I kind of feel bad for the poor boomers because there was an opportunity for them to make very good money, but only some of them did. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of old poor boomers. There's going to be a significant number of them.
More to come, it's not hard to see why the companion AI industry is predicted to generate $70 billion in the next 5 years. It's for all of these reasons that the allure of dating sims and
Dan Snot says, I bought my grandma groceries and prescriptions, but my family still thought I was a freeloader when they freeloaded off of her. Yeah, Dan, that actually goes back into my point about like the divide between like the boomers and the millennials and stuff like that. You're a little bit older, I think, but it doesn't matter. Let me tell you right now, it doesn't matter. There's no way that you can explain to them to a point where they're going to understand. They just will not. They just can't. It's like impossible for them. It doesn't seem impossible, but they seem extremely unwilling to think that things are different. Maybe that's a very uncomfortable idea for them. It's just not worth. And I know what you're trying. I know why you don't want them to think you're a freeloader and stuff like that. I understand that, but they're not going to get it. They're going to die with their opinions. And their opinions are made by media and movies that are 30 years old by now. Right? They were programmed since they were like little kids. You're not changing that. You're not changing that. They can't understand because they're programmed not to understand. They don't, and also they don't really want to. It's uncomfortable. It's scary for them. And also a lot of the blame resides on them too. So they're just not gonna. So I would try to find a way to make peace with that. And that goes for the rest of you as well. I mean, some of you may have good relationships with your parents. Some of you may not. But on the whole, as a whole, the boomers will never accept any sort of wrongdoing or responsibility for the role they played in, let's call it the desecration of opportunity in this country.
AI relationships and really any form of fictional romance right down to a rom-com is so spellbinding for so many. Yes, the potential agony of it not being real is there, but the comfort of either vicariously experiencing the warmth of
Holographic Doctor says lead poisoning might also be a factor. It's absolutely a factor. Yeah, absolutely.
Love, or very directly experiencing it as a...
For some, I mean, for a lot of them, for sure. I think lead-based gasoline wasn't outlawed until like the mid 80s, maybe it was sooner than that, but there was still a lot of lead in the environment their entire childhood.
Pseudo participant seems to greatly outweigh the inherent sorrow of the inherent separation. You have the opportunity to reap the benefits of social interaction without risking the potential rejection one might find when dating.
That's true. That's true. and this is, I mean, I've already hit on this point, but there's no fear. There's no betterment of yourself, right? There's no sense of rejection. And like, this is another problem that the boomers created. The trophies. Let's go back to the trophies. Everybody got a trophy as a kid. So no one would feel a sense of rejection. There's a no child left behind thing, so no one felt a sense of rejection. And for a largely autistic population, again, because I think of vaccines, rejection and failure has become taboo in a weird way, right? So any attempt that might get shot down, and it'll get shot down a million times, is just to be avoided by a lot of people. Not all people, but by a lot of people. And so these programs offer a way around that, where you can still have this intimacy connection, not physical yet, but this romantic intimacy without risk of, being shot down or saying the wrong things or having an awkward moment or, God forbid, having a fight. It's like save scumming a relationship. That's what it is. You say the wrong thing, you delete it, and then you go back, and then you say the right thing. And then what do you know? You have the perfect relationship. That's not a perfect relationship. Perfect relationship is having imperfect moments and then making it through that. That's a perfect relationship. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. There's only relationships that have made it. And yeah, I forget who said whose grandparents were together for 50 years and they hated each other for 45 years of it. That, weirdly enough, is a perfect relationship. They've hated each other. They've fought continuously over and over, and yet they still stick it out. That's admirable. That is a type of perfect relationship. It might not be, optically the best, but it's kind of the thing. If you just save scum and then go back, and then it's not a relationship. It's a video game. That leaves a hollowness. That leaves a lack of achievement in your life. Just like the getting shot down thing, right? It's you were unable to fail. So there is no gratitude. There's no pride in achievement because you were unable to fail in the first place.
I know it sounds like I'm really trying to sell social surrogacy to you right now, but trust me, Chief.
Hit the like
that
button
counter-argument
if you don't mind,
is
please.
loading.
You can't offend Todoroki in My Hero Academia. There's no saying something cringe that then causes Tifa to not really talk to you. You could always save scum in a situation where you could potentially offend a character.
Save scum.
Your AI will not break up with you because they only exist so long as you are there to necessitate a response. In most romantic games, you can get with any character you want if you play your cards right, except for Yuji, ayo what the fuck. Fictional characters in many ways are perfect. They can't complain about their day at work for—
Scott, thank God you've arrived. I thought you were dead. It's been going. It's been going for a while. He says, how long's the boomer rant been going on? It's been going for a while, but now that you're alive, now I can just direct it at you. Did you take a nap? Was your afternoon nap good? Did you sleep with your mouth open on the couch? Yeah, Scott.
For longer than you'd like them to. They don't get weirdly quiet and then just tell you nothing is wrong on the ride home, even when something is
Lost Tejas says 2017. As we go since 2017.
clearly wrong.
That's
Why won't
fair.
you just talk to me? No, they're
Dan Stott says, shut up, Scott. Hold on, let me pin that. Pin this message.
If you've ever found yourself looking at your fictional crush and saying, my God,
No, I agree, Scott. Shut up.
she's perfect, that's because she is. She can't hurt you. She can't manipulate you. She can't reject you. Even if there is something wrong, it's only there for you to resolve so that you can be.
I'm playing Baldur's Gate right now. Baldur's Gate 3, and call me like a bitch or a pussy or something like that. I had to play it at the easiest setting because I was getting my ass handed to me. Just fight after fight. I was getting my shit pushed in. So I had to lower it to like the Explorer. And I've been having a good time, actually. It's hard. There's a lot of mechanics in it, okay? I'm not a D&D expert, but I've been having a good time.
Be there for her. It's an
Shut
excuse
up,
for
Scott.
them to open up and be intimate with you.
Shut up.
Which is how many people develop feelings of love. Except it's totally real.
That's true. It's like the feeling of love is I mean, it doesn't come from like perfection. It comes from like the hard times that you get through. It's the challenges that you traverse and stuff like that. That's what love is, right? It's a bond through like fire and the bad times and shit. That's why we take oaths when we get married, right? Which apparently don't mean shit these days from anybody. An oath in the 21st century is garbage, apparently, because, you know, Hippocratic oaths, whatever the lawyers take, fucking politicians, they don't mean shit. Marriage oaths, it's just like, why are you doing this? Why are you making an oath you know you're going to break? I don't get it. I really don't.
Risk-free. You don't have to be
I don't even have a Switch. Dan, I don't even have a Switch.
vulnerable, and that is dangerously alluring. Especially for a certain type of individual, particularly for those who have experienced trauma. One of the papers I mentioned earlier across 2 studies found that experiencing traumatic events is associated with higher interest in using social surrogates.
Yeah, trauma. Trauma is a very, a lot of people in the millennial generation have trauma. Who doesn't have trauma? Who doesn't seriously, do you not have trauma? Are you not traumatized at all? Really? As a millennial? That's hard not to have trauma as a boomer. Like, you are traumatized as a millennial just based on world events. Maybe you had a great childhood. And you son of a bitch. I don't know. It just seems unlikely. There's so many people have trauma. I met tons and tons of people with trauma. Maybe I run in the wrong circles, though. I hang out with like comedians and stuff.
If you have a trauma response to certain social situations,
Balls says, I have a ton of trauma. Well, there you go, Balls. There you go. Are you sure you're absolutely happy being alone? Or maybe you're traumatized and you're afraid to put yourself out there at the risk of being hurt again. I know it sounds gay, but you're kind of gay.
this might be a safe and
I'm kidding.
fulfilling avenue for you to
I'm
follow.
kidding. No, but that's real though. People who experience trauma, especially in their formative years, it has a knock-on effect. And in every relationship they establish after that, they assume they're going to be hurt in one way or another, however they were traumatized. I know it's complex, but it's true. Childhood trauma always shows up in adult relationships. That's its thing, right? So it doesn't surprise me, and I'm not judging people for avoiding further drama or trauma, not drama. Same thing. But yeah, it's pretty common.
If it helps you get something you aren't ready to get now,
Ball says, "Nope, I'm happy." Yep. Keep those affirmations up, bruh.
at this point,
I'm happy. I'm enough. I'm all I need. I'm happy. I smoke meats. That's all I need.
why not give it
It sounds like a 45-year-old cat lady. It does. Who goes to her like a corporate job every single day. She makes good money, but why? Why? So she can buy shoes. Getting older,
go? The same goes for introverted folks, those with low self-esteem, those highly neurotic, or with interpersonal insecurity, who, according to each of these studies, are more likely to employ a social surrogate.
And I think it's important to highlight that this is normal for many people. A constant thread I found through each of these studies is that neither fictophilia nor use of social surrogates is a disorder.
Angela Bunny, hi, first time in the chat. She says, found my dad dead in his sleep just before my 24th birthday. I'm sorry. Add that to the estrangement from half of my family. Yeah, again, I mean, millennials, it's an estranged generation. It's a very high instance of millennials being separated, low contact, no contact with their parents. It's very strange to me that Jess's parents visit us every fucking weekend. And like they call all the time, and I don't hear from my parents. I don't even know what country they're in most of the time. It's strange to see that. Is that just me? I don't think that's just me. I think it's common. I think it's more common because I know a bunch of people like that. But she's got good parents, and I don't have a problem with them. They're good. They're good people. It's just strange. Because when I imagine boomers, I imagine them living it up and doing what they want because they have tons of money. Her parents don't have tons of money, but mine do. And they just do what they want. They don't call me or anything.
The Finnish study from earlier specifically.
I have kids. I have their grandkids. You don't want to visit?
Goes on to say that
it's
fictophilia is
strange.
not recognized or proposed,
Or it's
as
supposed to be strange. It's the life I've grown up in. So, you know.
specific diagnostic condition by the World Health Organization or the American Psychiatric Association. Our findings do not indicate a need to change the current state of affairs.
Another thing they found is that people are embarrassed to talk about this stuff. There's a stigma around having a fictional crush past a certain point. But
Angela Bunny says, I had great parents too. It's extended family that ended up sucking. Well, who gives a fuck about them? I mean, yeah, who gives a fuck about them?
a member of a community of folks with similar experiences can help buffer that stigma and evoke a greater sense of belonging. All of this to say, what we're talking about here isn't some small crowd of people that need to be...
Ball says, I had a fucked up childhood, but I suck it up and buy cool toys. That's compensating, Balls. You're compensating. That's exactly what that is. You're compensating. You're buying things that you don't technically need, or in a lot of cases even really want, because you're trying to fill a hole. And don't make it sexual, okay? You're trying to fill a hole in your heart, in your psyche, whatever you want to say, but it's like there's something essential missing to your life. And again, I am not talking specifically about you. I am talking generalities. You might be perfectly happy, but there are a lot of people out there who kind of do this with the affirmations and then fill their life with like cats and wine and stuff like that and nice shoes and say, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, until they just break down in tears and whine. And you know, it happens. I'm not saying it is you. All right. I'm saying it happens often.
Be pitied. These are folks with normal human desires, just like any of us, that have found themselves clinging to something unconventional to satisfy those.
He married his hikikomori. That's beautiful. Actually, it's terrible. That's not good, man. This shows that you are fucked up. This is not a relationship. This is an inanimate object. This is bad. This is a bad thing. This shows that Japan is dying, right? This man will not have children, and there is a counterpart to him out there, and she probably won't have children. And then the entire population is just going to get old, right? And then it's going to be like a circle, right? And it's going to need more of these AI to take care of these old people. And so the technology is going to get better. And so other people who still have the capability of having children and a family and stuff like that will be like, why would I do that? I'll just go with this AI because there's no risk and it is essentially indistinguishable. It will be, trust me.
Desires. And before we really go off the deep end of this discussion,
Quincy's Finest says, what about that bitch who married a roller coaster? She was pretty cool. That's autism. That's just straight up autism. That's autism. Yep. You can't marry a roller coaster. I mean, I'm sure the relationship has its ups and downs, though. Can I have a rim shot? Hold on. That one was for me.
I need you to keep that in mind.
That one was for me.
I said a moment ago, these characters are often
pretty proud of myself for that one.
perfect, that they can never hurt you. You control your interactions with them, but that's not
okay, if you downvote the video, I understand for
always
that joke.
true, is it?
But
I can't
no,
make this video and
that's
not
good.
at least quickly mention Monica in Doki Doki Literature Club. She's more than just a character in a game because you are a character in her game. If somehow you've never played or heard of it, she will break the fourth wall, talk to you, the player, directly, and manipulate you and the other members of the club to ultimately steal you away and have you all to herself. It's terrifying. It's
Are
unsettling.
you guys talking about suppressors right now? Why are you talking about that? Teos says 5 years, John. Wait till the sex robots in 5 years. Yeah, you came a little late, but yeah, I did talk about the sex robots. And yeah, 5 years is conservative. Honestly, I think that's a conservative estimate because they're going to come out and they're going to get good, and they're going to get good really fast. I was talking about women they're like, oh, a real man would never have sex with a sex robot when they have all this, right? Okay. Okay, because it's going to be like 1,000,000 times better, and they're not going to cost nearly as much as a woman. And you know what? They won't complain unless you program them to complain. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but it has a physical form factor that does dishes and makes sandwiches. Like women, I would be terrified. I would be terrified if I were you, right? Thank God I'm not. So I can like think properly. But yeah, I'd be scared.
It's hot, apparently. People are obsessed with this character, man.
Scott says $500 goal before Friday, guys. He's right. That's true. $500 goal. But I didn't get a single dono tonight. Shows how much you guys care.
They have been for 8 years now, and I think that it's because
These rock solid roller coaster jokes, and you guys are going to stiff me like that? I can't believe it.
I just came across this thumbnail about editing, and what the fuck is going on, man?
And I think that it's because by breaking the fourth
Shut
wall
up,
and doing
Scott.
everything that this game does,
Shut up.
it encroaches on that separation
Shut up,
we talked
Scott.
about earlier. People
Shut
know
up.
the difference between fiction and reality. So does Monica. People know if you're recording your game. So does Monica.
Dan Snot says, I'll dono when I see you. You're going to get me drunk, aren't you, dude? You're going to get me shit-housed. So it's like next week, though, right? Yeah, because it's like next week. Anyways, guys. Think about what I said. Think about the meaning of your life, why you're here, and what you plan on doing with it. Sure, you waste your days away cybergooning, and that might be fun. But, you know, there's a reason why you're here, and I hope you guys make the best of it. That's all I have to say. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's interesting episode, and I hope you learned something, too. Anyways, I will be on Daywave tomorrow at 10 a.m. and then right back here on the Sulk Stream at 8 p.m. to learn you something good. So be there. Hit the like button. I hope you guys get out there and make me proud. Become a Sulkster. Buy a t-shirt. Donate to my PayPal, my Ko-Fi, whatever you would like to donate to. Anyways, get out there and make me proud. Do the best you can. Be beautiful people. Oh, sorry. Wrong one. And anyways, until I see you again, drink a lot of water, get a good night's sleep, and take care of yourselves, because I honestly care about you too. I do. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Goodbye.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small nipples, but my voice is loud, roaring like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke, unraveling the madness with every word